Hey YouTube, welcome to my channel. Welcome to A Chapter with Shelby. Today we are doing a little bit of a TBR cleanup. This is Read It or Yeet It. Best life, best life, best life. I'ma keep going. These books have quite literally been sitting on my shelf for way too long. So today we are deciding if I will actually read them or if they just need to go. I'm going to be ruthless because I am honestly sick of having these books that I bought a really long time ago and just haven't read them. I'm sick of them being in a pile in the corner of my office, and also there's some above me because I have like shelves on my walls at the very top that line the walls or line the room. So I'll probably be pulling a few down from there. There's actually the shelf right above me is like bending because of the weight of the books. And so my husband's like, you need to take those down because that shelf is probably going to fall at some point. And so this is the perfect time to just start getting rid of books that I know I'm never going to read, whether that's because my taste has changed or more like been refined in the past few years. My taste has changed. I don't know, maybe I was influenced or pressured to buy the book. Who knows, like why? But there are quite a few, over 30, what I counted so far. So we have some work to do. So the first book on the chopping block today is The Spell Shop by Sarah Beth Durst. I was initially drawn to this book because of the cover, and I believe I bought this last year in the fall time. So this would go obviously really well with fall spooky vibes. The back of the book said, "This was a good place with kind people who cared about each other. There was a unicorn in the woods, mermaids in the coves, and the best raspberry she'd ever tasted." And then there was Loran. One of the reviews says, "The spell shop is about believing the kindness of people even when you've seen nothing but cruelty." And so I think I am going to read this book. Also, it has a purple sprayed edge, which is really pretty too. So I think I'm going to read this. Next book on the chopping block is Can't Spell Treason Without Tea. I bought this book because I love the idea of it. I love the theme. I read actually a little bit of it. I took the bookmark out. I did read about a quarter of the way through this. And so because I didn't love it enough to finish it, like a quarter of the way through is enough for me to know if I'm going to like a book or not. And it's not that it was a bad book, but it just didn't hold my attention. This is more like something I should have read on my Kindle and maybe just like came back to every now and then. But honestly, that by itself just tells me that I should yeet this book. Next, we have Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. I think this book has good reviews on Goodreads. It is a thick boy for sure. I'm a little torn about this one because a friend of mine gave me this book when I was like going through kind of a hard time. But it's not really the kind of book that I enjoy, which is weird because it is fantasy. What I know about it is that it's high fantasy, and so I appreciate it, and it has good reviews, and the cover is really pretty. So I think my decision is that I'm going to yeet the physical copy and purchase the audio, because if you watch previous videos, you'll know that I'm currently reading the From Blood and Ash series. And I started listening to the audiobook because the books themselves are a little dense, not in like a bad way, but in just like a high fantasy way where there's just a lot going on. There's a lot to remember, a lot to keep up with. And so the audio just kind of served me better. And I think that is the final say on this. So I'm going to eat the physical copy and put it on my TBR as an audiobook. I also had to make sure that my friend didn't write like a note for me in this book, like a note of encouragement. But he didn't, and so no reason for me to keep it. Dear Edward has been on my TBR on my shelf for a really long time. I bought this at Barnes and Noble, And I think it might have been like a Goodreads favorite of the year at some point. The back says, a masterful study in suspense, grief, and survival. Dear Edward is an insightful and moving testament to the indomitability of the human spirit. A couple sentences from the blurb are, one summer morning, 12-year-old Edward, his beloved older brother, his parents, and 183 other passengers board a flight in Newark, headed for Los Angeles. Halfway across the country, the plane crashes. Edward is the only survivor. His story captures the attention of the nation, but he struggles to find a place in a world without his family. Oh, he continues to feel that a part of himself is left in the sky, forever tied to a plane and all his fellow passengers. I'm like already tearing up. If you've read this, please let me know. I think I'm gonna read it because this is really cute, and it's kind of giving me Lord of the Flies vibe, even though that's more psychological than anything else. But I'm gonna read this. Next on the chopping block is The Darkest Part of the Forest, and I bought this book also last year during the fall and the autumn. Again, perfect vibes for spooky season. The back says, in the woods is a glass coffin, and in it sleeps a boy with horns on his head and ears as pointed as knives. Another reason why I bought this book is because it's from Holly Black. And if you've ever read anything from Holly Black, you'll know she is a fantastic author. She is the author of The Cruel Prince, The Wicked King, and The Queen of Nothing. I've read The Cruel Prince and loved it. And I have The Wicked King maybe in this stack, actually. I'm not sure. And so I think I'm going to read this because I really love this author. Next on the chopping block is called Seeing God as a Perfect Father. I do love Christian books. I don't read as many nonfiction books nowadays. Probably like 2021 or 22, I almost exclusively read nonfiction and faith-based books. It's not that I don't read them now, I just don't read as much of them. And so I think because of that, I'm probably going to yeet this book. I did get it at Hobby Lobby for $5. But normally when I read nonfiction, I will listen to the audio version of it because I would just rather spend my time reading a book where I'm like getting lost in a different world, a different lives of characters and things like that. And so I'm sure this is a great book, but I'm going to eat it. Next on the chopping block is a book that I think I read a little under 50% of. It's called In a Holidays by Christina Lauren. This is a really cute book because, like I said, I did start reading it. I bought this over the holidays. I love holiday reads. I'm actually I wrote my own Christmas novel that is I'm trying to get published right now, and so I am a huge fan of holiday reads. And I did enjoy what I read of this book. The back says, one Christmas wish, two brothers, and a lifetime of hope are on the line. It says, jam packed with Yuletide cheer, an unforgettable cast of characters, and Christina Lauren's trademark downright hilarious hijinks. The swoon worthy romantic read will make you believe in the power of wishes and the magic of the holidays. Again, because I did read some of this and didn't come back to it, I think I'm going to eat it because it obviously didn't hook me like I would have wanted it to. So it is going in the yeet pile. Next is called The Temple of Swoon. To yeet this book would be a bummer because I did buy this very recently, and I I do leave books on my TBR for a long time, just like anyone else. But when I buy a book, I just assume I'll get to it within the next couple months. Um, Having a Kindle probably has not helped that because I have so many books at the touch of a fingertip, like touch of a button. And so it's a bummer to possibly yeet this. The back it says her mission, find the lost city of the moon in the Amazon rainforest, his mission, protect the holy temple in his heart. It was everything I wanted. Righteous fun, no, riot fun. Heart clenching romance and pitch perfect characters, romancing the stone meets Indiana Jones in this thrilling adventure romance. I'm just not feeling the vibe of this, I don't think I am going to read this. And if I do happen to want to read it, it's probably on Kindle Unlimited. It's really hard to decide, but I just feel like I should know for sure if I would read it. And so I'm going to eat it. I must have a problem with not like with DNFing books lately because here's another book. It's called Old Flames and New Fortunes. Another book that I started. I don't know how far I got in it. I do remember what I read, and so it obviously stuck out in my mind, the characters and the plot and everything. It says fibs and squabbles and spells oh my. So again, I read some of it, didn't love it enough to be like hooked on it, to feel like I want to read it, um, like finish it and everything. And so I'm gonna eat this. The next book is called Cul-de-sac, Cul-de-sac Crossroads by Mary Spencer Veazey. Veazey. So this book was actually sent to me by the author. And so she found me on TikTok and sent me her devotional. I have not read it, but I don't know honestly what to do because it was kind of a gift. And of course, I want to support all my new writer friends and new author friends. But I just think in terms of keeping this on my shelf, I am going to yeet this in terms of like or for the sake of making room. But I think what I'm going to do is leave a review of some kind for her or put it on my social media to get the word out about her book. If this book sounds good to you, again, it's called Cul-de-sac Crossroads. It says navigating life's twists and turns in your 20s with courageous clarity. And another part of me maybe like wasn't super drawn to this book, drawn to reading it was because I'm almost out of my 20s. Not that this would not or not that I wouldn't relate to this book at all. But if this sounds something that's interesting to you, please see if it's on Kindle or pick it up at on Amazon. I don't know if it's like at Target or anything like that. But here's that. And if you want to support a new author, here you go. Next on the chopping block is called A December to Remember by Jenny Bayless. It says three bickering half sisters, one unique antique shop in the coziest holiday season of their lives. And again, bought this over the holidays. I love a good Christmas book, a holiday romance. One of my favorite books is One Day in December by Josie Silver. And so it's not that I'm yeeting these books because they're holiday reads. It's actually the opposite of that because that's why I bought them. But I just didn't get to these last year in the holidays. And I'm thinking that, I don't know. It says a charming winter solstice treat with Love Actually vibes and a hint of bohemian magic. I think I'm going to yeet the physical copy. And then if I want to read it over the holidays this year, I will get this on my Kindle. I think what I'm learning is that I I guess just recently have been more drawn to my Kindle, my emotional support Kindle, than physical books, which I never thought I would say, like literally. So I think I find myself asking, will I actually pick this book up and read it soon? And the answer's been no, aside from three books. The next book is Legends and Lattes. This is such a popular book, or is, or was, or whatever. I love the vibe of it. I love the kind of like cozy fantasy vibe of this. And I'm sure most of us have heard of this book, but it says a novel of high fantasy and low stakes. And I just think that's so cute and probably a perfect read for when I just don't want to think too hard. I don't want to remember a lot of names. I don't want to remember a lot about what's going on about like war and magic systems and difficult relationships that I'm just like what like where are we? Who's that person? What like So I think I'm going to read this. I think this goes perfect with, we all know that I'm in my monster romance era right now. So I think this goes perfect with like what I've been reading lately. I pretty much already know the answer to this next Read It or Yeet It. This is called Imposter Syndrome. This is a book of the month club book that I got like a year and a half ago, and I never read it, which I love book of the month club. I've only not read like two books out of the double digit number of boxes that I've gotten in my life. And so I don't know why I just wasn't drawn to this book once it got here, but I'm going to yeet it because I just don't see myself reading it. Next book is called In 5 Years. This was another really popular one. I think this was on like Goodreads best book of whatever year. And I can appreciate that, but again, I just don't see myself being like picking it up and reading it. I got this at half price books for $8 a long time ago, so I think it's well past its expiration. The next book is called The Unmaking of June Farrow. This is another book of the month club read. Again, there weren't a lot of books that I didn't read when I got a book of the month club book, but this just happened to be one of them, and I am surprised that I didn't read it because um it just again kind of fits into the type of books that I do read. But the inside it says, oh look, my little bookmark, it says, "Boo, it's me, a reading break." So it says, a woman risks everything to end her family's old century curse, solve her mother's disappearance, and find love in this mesmerizing novel from the best selling author of Spells for Forgetting. I'm unsure about this book. However, if I read this, it will be on my autumn TBR. And so the question is, do I want it to be on my autumn TBR? So the inside cover says that this is a blend of romance and mystery. And so I'm going to give this a chance and I'm going to read it. Again, kind of already know the answer to this. This book is a nonfiction book. It's actually a self-help book called How to Stop Feeling Like Shit. I bought several books like 2 years ago when I was, again, just kind of going through a lot mentally. And I was hoping to read some books about better habit building and kind of self soothing, things like that. And so this was one of those books, and I just never read it. And like I said, I just don't read nonfiction a lot anymore. If I want to learn about something, or if I do want to read a nonfiction book, I will listen to the audio version. And so I'm going to yeet this book. The next book is Good Habits, Bad Habits. I'm a little torn about this one. Again, it's nonfiction. It kind of goes with the previous book. I bought it at the same time. Um, but I do like books about habits. I read Atomic Habits a couple years ago, loved it, implemented a lot of those things. My husband's reading it actually. We've implemented a lot of the advice, a lot of the things that James Clear talks about in his book, Atomic Habits. We implemented those things into our life, and it's been super helpful. So it's like, do I know enough about habits to like skip this book because James Clear kind of like covered everything and did a really good job. Again, with all of the books that I want to read, I just don't see myself picking this book up. Um, if I want to read it, I'll listen to the audio. So the next book is called Your Marriage God's Way, and this is actually a workbook. And I opened it and I saw some notes in here from Johnny as he was going through this book, and it almost made me cry. I'm not going to share everything, but one of the notes that he put down, it was a question that said, it says, list 5 ways your spouse is one of the biggest blessings God has given you. And the first thing he wrote down was that she brought me to Jesus. And that is just the sweetest thing ever. And so he didn't finish a lot, or I guess we were supposed to do it together. But we didn't finish a lot of this book. But what he wrote down is so sweet, so stinking cute. And I don't want to get rid of this book. One of the notes that he put at the top of one of the chapters, it said 16 days until basic. And without going into all the details, because that's not this video, we were going through a lot in our marriage right before my husband went into basic training for the Air Force. And so this just kind of like shows me where we were at during that time and like how hard we were trying and like working to just surrender all of our struggles and surrender our marriage to God. And so I don't know, this is just a cute little reminder of like how far we've come. So the next book is called The Woman Code. I've actually read this. I think I'm kind of like diving into a pile of books I wanted to donate. And so I'll just add these in there because like I'm not going to keep them. I'm not going to reread them certainly. But this book is called The Woman Code and it says perfect your cycle, amplify your fertility, supercharge your sex drive and become a power source. I obviously tabbed it a lot. I do remember enjoying this book. Um but a lot of the time these kind of books just kind of like blanket statement things and I don't know, we're just all so unique. Like our bodies are so unique. And I just don't find that one book is going to solve all my problems. And so I think I got what I needed to out of this book, and I'm not going to keep it as like a manifesto or something like that. So I'm going to eat this. The next book is Breaking Free of Body Shame. This is a fantastic book if you've ever struggled with body shame or body dysmorphia and you're a Christian. I don't know if it's like exclusively a Christian book, but it is faith based. I have lots of notes in this book, but I don't think I'm going to keep it. Whoever's hands it lands in next will get to see my notes. There's nothing personal in it, obviously, but I am not going to keep this book. So I'm a little bummed about this next book. I think I'm mostly bummed because I've read the reviews and they're not as good as I hoped they would be. But it's Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, which I also think is a movie. I love Pride and Prejudice. I love this era, Jane Eyre, like Little Women. And so I thought this would be a really good read, but it's been on my shelf for a long time. And I love the cover art, obviously. It's been on my shelf for a long time. And I don't know. I love the back. It says, it is a truth universally acknowledged that a zombie in possession of brains must be in want of more brains. So I think what I'm afraid of is that I'm going to start reading it and wish I would have yeeted it. I read a little bit of one of the chapters and I just don't think I'm going to read this. And if I start reading it, I think I'm going to DNF it. And so I'm going to yeet this book. The next book is called By the Book by Jasmine Guillory, maybe. Um, this was a recent purchase for me. It's not very big. I just wish I would have bought this on my Kindle or like downloaded it from Kindle Unlimited. This seems like the perfect book that you would read on Kindle, but because I think I will like it and that if it was on Kindle, I would read it, I think I am going to keep this. The back says sometimes to truly know a person, you have to read between the lines. One of the reviews says this fairy tale rom-com mashup is totally magic, swoon worthy from start to finish. So I think I'm going to read this. The next book is called Reminders of Him by Colleen Hoover. I was on a Colleen Hoover kick for a very short amount of time. It's not that I don't enjoy her books or think she's a good author or anything like that. I just think she doesn't write the kind of books that I would normally gravitate to. I read Verity, loved it. I read It Ends With Us, It Begins With, or It Starts With Us. Like read both those books, loved them. I just am not the biggest fan of Colleen Hoover for no particular reason other than I just don't read a lot of what she writes about, like her genre. So I'm going to eat this. Next book is called The Love Hypothesis. This is obviously such a popular book, and I think I bought it because it was popular. It was blowing up on Book Talk. It was like a Goodreads favorite and whatever. I'm going to eat this book because it's not the theme or like it doesn't have qualities that I would normally read in a book. It says contemporary, or wait, no, not that part. When a fake relationship between scientists meets an irresistible force of attraction, it throws one woman's carefully calculated theories on love into chaos. And I think I don't know a lot about this book. Obviously, it's sciencey. It's with love, like it's a romance between two scientists. I don't think I would enjoy reading about that very much. So I'm just going to eat this book. Similarly, the next book is called Icebreakers, another super popular read within the past year or two. I bought this book because my husband and I are huge hockey fans, and I thought, we're huge hockey fans, so I think it'd be fun to read a book about, like a hockey, what is it, figure skater, hockey player figure skater romance. Um, but the longer I had it on my shelf, I almost wish I just would have read it right when I like first got it, because the longer I had it, the more I started hearing like people's opinions about it. And some people do really like it, but the negative feedback I got, like I read about it, I think is how I would feel if I read this book. And so for that reason, again, it's been on my TBR for a long time, taking up space. I'm going to eat this. Next, we have Darling Venom. I bought this maybe last year. At the time, I was reading the Twisted series, so like Twisted Love, Twisted Hate, and this goes pretty similar with those books. The top of it says, "My first love ended in tragedy. My second began with his brother." And like, I mean, that sounds good. That sounds really good. But again, with the trajectory of the genres and the tropes I've been reading recently, I don't think this is going to fit in very well. And so I'm going to eat this book. We are down to the final five. I have other books that I haven't read on my bookshelf over here, but those I absolutely want to read. It's just like me needing to be in the mood for them. One of those books is Crescent City, and I know that is such a commitment to read not only that book, but the Crescent City series, the universe, the Massverse. I've already read all the ACOTAR books, and so I know diving into Crescent City is just going to be like a whole other thing that I want to do, but I want to be in the right headspace for it. So the final five are books that I'm just not sure I will ever get to or want to get to. And so one of them is called Archer's Voice. I've heard really good things about this book, and it is a romance, which, you know, fits right where I'm at. It says one of the top 100 romance novels of all times on Goodreads. And I feel like because of that, I should keep it. But my dilemma is, do I yeet the physical and read it on my Kindle again, in terms of like, or for the sake of making room on my shelves? Ugh. All right, I read a little bit of one of the chapters, and I'm going to keep this book and read the physical copy. The next book is A Touch of Darkness. It says, as she struggles to sow the seeds of her freedom, love for the god of the dead grows, and it's forbidden. I love books that are based on Hades and Persephone. I've been reading the graphic novel. What is that called? Lore Olympus. I've been reading the graphic novels, Lore Olympus. Last year, I need to finish the last two. I think they are so good. Absolute 5-star reads for me. I'm not sure about this one though. So one of the quotes from a random page that I turned to, it says, um, I would tell you if I thought you would use the knowledge to avoid it. You think I want to visit your torture chamber? He leveled his gaze upon her. I think you are curious, he said, and eager to prove I am, as the world assumes, a deity to be feared. So I think I'm going to read this. This actually sounds really good. Next is called the Cinnamon Bun Bookstore. Reading that backwards. The Cinnamon Bun Bookstore is super cute and a definite autumn, fall, Halloween read. It says it's a small town spicy romance, which I'm all for. So I think I'm going to read this and put this on my autumn TBR. Next is A Thousand Boy Kisses. This is a super popular book and it's really short. Again, I kind of wish I would have just got this on my Kindle and not made room for it on my shelves. I know this is one of those books that people recommend. Like, if I was to ask, give me a book recommendation that will absolutely rip my heart out and make me cry for days, this is usually what people recommend. But I think for the sake of unhauling physical books, I'm going to yeet this and consider buying it or downloading it from Kindle. We are on the last book finally. We have The Divine Rivals. I know I will really enjoy this book, but I don't, I don't know. Okay. So I know I will really like this book. It's about two journalists that are like, I think it's like a lovers to enemies type vibe. But I don't like hardback books. I think that's opposite from what everyone else prefers. I prefer hard or soft cover. And so I think I am going to eat the physical copy. It's just hard because it's like I know if when I like a book, I do want the physical copy of it. I want to like collect it. And all the books that are up above me are my favorite books that I definitely am glad I bought the physical copy of. I actually don't have every physical copy of the ACOTAR series. I have the first two, and then I read the next two on my Kindle because I was just like blowing through them so fast that I didn't have time to buy them. And so I wanted to read them like that night. So I'm a little conflicted about this one, but yeah, I think I'm going to yeet the physical copy and consider reading this on my Kindle. So in total, we unhauled 23 books. These are going to be donated either to my local library or I'm going to take them to Half Price Books, and they'll give you a little bit of cash for the books you bring in, but I just like that they'll literally take anything. They never give you enough money for it to really matter. No, you're not going to get a lot of money, but it's better than nothing, and it'll probably buy me next week's Starbucks. So yeah. And we are keeping a total of 10 books. So we are keeping 10 and yeeting 23. If you have read any of the books that I yeeted and you're like raging about it because it was a really good book or you really enjoyed it, please let me know in the comments if there is a book on my yeeted list that I should reconsider keeping based on how you enjoyed it. Did I make the right call, or should I rescue one of the books from my yeeted pile? If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like it and consider subscribing. I post new videos every Friday. I post hauls, TBR chaos, romance recommendations, and weekly vlogs. That is all for today. Remember to stay caffeinated, stay reading, and stay unbothered. I'll see you next Friday.